Sure. First of all, her name is Jennifer Pennifer.
No, that's right. That's full name. Excuse me.
Full name is Jennifer Pennifer.
Jennifer Pennifer.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
See dead people.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Here's Johnny.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Welcome to Talking Horror with Jamie and Nikisha.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Nikisha, and this is Talking Horror with Jamie.
And Nikisha.
Where we share our love for all things scary and talk horror through the lens of human behavior. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Also, fireworks for all of this hair, all this new hair we have going on.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Hair
If you're
crystal.
watching us on YouTube,
Look how
hi
sexy
YouTube.
we are on YouTube.
Hi,
We've all got
YouTube.
new hairdos.
We all got
And
new
there are
hairs.
no hair don'ts here.
Yes.
Exactly.
No hair don'ts.
No bad hair days. Did we do the movie Bad Hair? Or maybe I just
No,
watched
but you
it and-
talked
No.
about
Yes.
it.
Well, that's not what this is. We're all slaying the game.
Mhm.
Slay.
Gorgeous.
Slay.
Well, welcome everyone. Happy to have you here listening to us and fun times as always. Today, we're talking about the 2024 New Zealand psychological horror film, The Rule of Jenny Penn.
I will admit to being a somewhat prideful man. Nonetheless, I have considered the potential benefits of debasing myself and flattering you, stroking your ego with a compliment or two. Sadly, none come to mind. You do really seem entirely absent of any positive attributes. The human equivalent of a dried-up husk of dog excrement.
Yay. Can you say that with a New Zealand accent?
I couldn't even tell you what a New Zealand accent is, unfortunately. I'm sorry, not sorry. Because all
Sorry,
that
I
comes
didn't
to
mean to out
mind.
you like that.
Right. You're an actor. Go forth.
Go.
All I
Aren't you
can think
supposed
of.
to fake it till you make it?
Right. Well, I was just going to do it like a fake Cockney accent because that was the only thing I could think of. But New Zealand, I don't know. Yes. Maybe
Very
it'll slip
different.
out.
For all of
Yeah.
us, for all the New Zealanders listening,
We're
for
so
all
sorry.
for all the like turn of the century Cockney people. That,
We're so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Well, that's also right. I didn't want to damage the integrity of the accent, so
Yeah.
I chose to not.
Understood.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, The Rule of Jenny Penn was directed by James Ashcroft, and it was written by Ashcroft and Ellie Kent, and it's based off of Owen Marshall's short story of the same name. It stars John Lithgow, Jeffrey Rush, and George Henner. And heavy spoilers for The Rule of Jenny Penn. It is streaming currently on Shudder. So go get that subscription and go watch the movie and then come back and listen to us. And Jamie, please hit us with all those trigger warnings.
Pew, pew,
Trigger
pew. Yeah, that wasn't the best. So this features a lot of I would say elder abuse. I mean, it centers on like the elderly population. So if that is a trigger warning for me. So helpful to know. But yes, there's a lot of elder abuse. There is like sexual assault that happens against the elderly, physical assault, not having working asthma inhalers is also
Oof.
personally scary to
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
Murder.
Lots of
Oops.
murder.
Murder, schmurder. I'll say.
That was a good accent. Not New Zealand, but good.
No.
But a great accent, yes. Yeah. Cats that predict death.
Oh
Something
yeah,
like that.
yes. I
That's
love
like a
good-
real thing.
Yeah.
Really?
That is a
Oh yeah.
hmm There's like anecdotes of like cats going into like rooms at like elderly facilities, and then those people pass, and it's like very bizarre.
Hate it.
They're like omens of death.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I'd pass on this. No, I know that's like really.
Yeah,
creepy.
you would pass if the cat was in the room.
Oh my god!
Oh no! And it's
I
like
like
that's
to
why
move
we
it.
have a dog.
Yes.
Well, then it has me
No
thinking of
scary
like
things.
witches and cats, and it's like is that a
Mhm.
thing?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because of,
I'm
like,
sure some of
you
it
know,
is
the
based in
energy.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cool. And then people catching on fire. Oh,
Oh yes, I forgot that happens very, very early in the
right
beginning.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, also like a stroke and like health issues and like
Yeah.
paralysis, anxiety, having urine thrown on you. Ugh.
Victim shaming,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
maybe.
just and lots of bullying.
Yeah.
Lots.
A lot of bullying.
Big old bullies.
Yeah.
And
Anything
wrist
else?
kissing.
Oh.
And what? Wrist
Wrist
kissing?
kissing.
Oh, I think it's licking because you said it so many times.
I know, it's one of my quotes. I'm just going to warn you right now. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah. It makes me cringe. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
It's okay. Well, before we get into everything about good old creepy doll Jenny Penn, producer Brian, can you please give us some words?
Sure. First of all, her name is Jennifer Pennifer.
No, that's right. That's full name. Excuse me.
Full name is Jennifer Pennifer.
Jennifer Pennifer.
No, whatever her full name is.
Wasn't it Jennifer like Pennington or something?
Yeah,
Peniton?
I'm assuming. I don't know if it's like a made up doll or a real doll that existed that had the song to it. Like they're
Right.
regardless enjoyable. Hi everybody, producer Brian here. Thank you for joining us. Hi YouTube, and hello everyone listening. We are so happy to be here with you. As a reminder, you can follow us wherever we're on social media at Talk Horror Pod, and those places are Instagram, those places are TikTok, and that's really it. I'm not on Blue Sky. Let's not pretend anymore. But we have you can follow us there to boost, validate us.
Yes.
But yeah, follow us in those places. We're having a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun stuff there, and yeah, thanks. Cool, awesome. Oh, and if you haven't reviewed us, review us. That's it.
Please.
Please,
Subscribe.
so more people can
do
find
everything
us.
you need to do.
Yes.
We need your help.
We need your
Thanks
help.
so much. How many followers are we at now on the TikToks?
17.9, I think.
Nice.
Not individuals, and then like 1,000.
Yes.
Just in time for the TikTok extension.
Oh God, I can't.
17.
So follow us while you can.
Yeah, follow us so we can hit 20K before we lose access to the app.
Yes. Woo! Great. Well, anything new? I heard that you guys took a trip. Can you tell me about it?
We did. We went to Las Vegas, Nevada.
Casino sounds.
Is that Sin City?
Sin City.
Yeah.
We had a great time. The only thing that we did that was horror-ish, we did
It was horror.
It was
not
horror.
ish.
No, it was. We went to we opened the mini bar. No, I'm kidding. We did not do that.
Those prices are scary.
Yeah.
Very.
We went to a really great
escape room.
Horror escape room. Oh my god.
I know. I was like,
just
what's the
happened?
anticipation? Yeah.
What
You watch me
happened? What's
have a
happening?
blip like from the movie.
Oh God. No, you're too young.
We had a really fun time, and so it was this. I'm looking up the name of it now. I don't remember. But we had a great time. Not only it's called the Third Gate Hotel Escape Room in Las Vegas.
Okay.
It was really good, but the cool thing was it wasn't just one room. It was like a full like
The whole
5 or
facility
6 rooms.
was the whole
Oh.
escape room.
So you'd like open a door, and then you'd like get into another room that would open another door, and you have to like keep going. Then you have to backtrack to get other stuff. It was really fun.
Those are nice. Yeah.
Not only was it fun, we got out with like 6 minutes left or something like that,
Power
and it was
couple.
just the two of us. And the person was very impressed with us.
Yes.
I will say that there were some clues that we did not have to figure out, because you know when you put magnets on other things, you can hear the click of the unlock or whatever you do. So at the end, you're supposed to put these things on this mantle, and you're supposed to put them in the right order, but there's like another clue you need to do to figure out what order they go in. But I heard the clicks when I'm putting them on, so we were able to kind of. But like,
and you got the bonus.
Oh yeah, and there was a
Nice.
bonus. They're like, congrats, you escaped. There is a bonus in this room if you wanted to do it. And we were like, great, we do. We got it.
Yeah, and that is working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Yes.
We have a 100% success record in escaping.
Success.
Just saying. We're
Yeah.
pros.
Yes.
We do
So-
take clues. We're not like that. Like there are some people who like take 0 clues and figure out how to escape, and like that's who I aspire to be.
Okay.
But I am not quite at that level.
Yeah.
It's
We
like, still
take
give me a
clues,
clue.
but we take clues based on A, how stuck we actually are, and B, how much time has passed. Like we're actually like strategically
Trying,
taking clues.
For sure. That makes sense.
There are 3 other escape rooms in Las Vegas that we would have liked to have tried: the It escape room, the Blair Witch escape room, and the Saw escape room.
Well, those were like the big movie ones.
Those are the
that
big
they
movie
had.
ones.
There was like
yeah.
other ones that I was trying to find one where there's like live actors in the room with you. That's the kind that I'm like dying to try. I want to do one of those so badly.
In Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
Brian told me about his, and I was like, oh, I need to do that.
So the one I did in Las Vegas, basically, it's very cool. You start in a jail cell with a burlap sack over everyone's head.
Oh,
and then they say go. You take off because essentially you've been captured by a serial killer, and you have to escape before it comes back.
As happens,
as one does.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you started. We I think it was 6 of us. It was me, my friend, and then 4 of us, and then 4 strangers to us strangers. And so they would take the burlap sack off your head. Then you had to figure out how to get out of the jail. Then you had to figure out how to get into the second room. Then in the second room, you unhook something and a secret compartment opens behind like a radiator, and it's a crawl space. And in the crawl space is a man tied up.
Like a live actor.
A live actor who's like, quote, tongue is cut out so he can't tell you what to do.
Right,
but like he kind of helps you, like now you're all working together to like figure it out.
That's really cool.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
I really
gosh.
I really liked that one. That's one of the better ones I've ever done. It was very cool.
And how long did they give you to escape?
An hour.
Like an hour.
Oh, okay. Is that usually the time frame? Just an hour?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like between 45 minutes to an hour, depending.
Yeah.
Jeez. Because we did one when you were here.
Right. But was Aaron there with us too? Yes. Yeah.
It was the 4 of us.
Oh yeah, because there was a crawl thing that we had to go through, and nobody wanted to crawl through it, so I went first.
Yes.
You're so brave. You're so
that was a hotel one as well, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was a hotel. Yeah.
Because oh man, the key in the ice cube, I will never forget that.
Oh,
that was so cool.
Yes.
You had to open the mini
that
fridge.
Is a top,
That is a
top clue or like top like mechanic in any escape room we've had to do.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had a great time in Vegas. We ate a ton of delicious food. We gambled. I won $500 at a roulette table.
Lucky.
We ate a Corona the day. A Corona the day keeps the doctor away.
Absolutely. As we should.
We went to the buffet. That does not.
Oh yeah.
That's the
That's the
opposite of keeping the
opposite.
doctor away.
Got it.
We walked a lot. We had a great time. We
Mhm.
did pass by the Haunted Museum, which is
Oh,
the
yeah.
Haunted Artifacts
That
Museum.
Bagans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you have to sign the NDA
The
or
waiver.
the waiver
Right.
for.
Mhm.
We did not do that.
That was not
Yeah.
for me. I decided after looking at all of the reviews where people were like, I brought something home with me. And I don't mean like a physical thing. I mean, like, I think there's a spirit attached to me now. I was like, you know what? Whether I believe this or not, I do not want to tempt fate. So
Yeah, fair.
all of these, they can
Exactly.
all stay. Like, I do not accept you into my home, into my life. Please remain in your museum and don't. We did walk
Just stay
past it
there.
though.
Yeah.
We walked
That's all you
past
need
it.
to
Oh,
do.
we did go to the pawn shop from Pawn Stars.
We did.
Yeah.
Do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so fun.
We did
My dad
that, and
watches
then
it.
on the way back from that, we passed the Haunted Museum.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We had a
No,
great
definitely
time.
can't do that.
We ate well. We gambled. We did some escape rooms.
We
had
went
a-
to Old Vegas.
yeah,
Oh,
Fremont
yeah.
Street.
That was wild.
Yeah, that's where I won the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But it was really fun. It was very
Mm-hmm.
fun.
That sounds like a fun
Yeah,
time.
no
And y'all
other scary stuff. I'm trying to think if there was any other like haunted or like scary things that were advertised anywhere. I don't think so.
I don't not. There may have been both. Like, that was. I think that was really it. Those are the major things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man. That's super exciting though. I need to go visit Vegas again, but God, that air was just way too dry.
Sure.
Mhm.
Sure.
Trying to like be there on tour and sing, it was like
Sure.
a nightmare. We were all dropping like
Mhm.
flies. But to go there and just like party, let's go.
It was fun. We had a great
Show me
time.
around.
Um,
Right.
we also watched a fuck ton of movies.
Tell me.
So I'll list them out, both horror
Yes.
and not.
Okay.
We watched Apartment 7A
Oh.
and down, thumbs
Eh.
down.
Damn.
Mhm.
All right.
In short, they basically remade Rosemary's Baby, but not nearly as good.
No.
Performances were good, but like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
We watched The Fall Guy with Ryan
Ryan
Gosling.
Gosling.
Oh, yes.
That was really fun.
Mhm.
Okay.
Then we watched Joker 2, Return to Joker.
Folie à
Not
deux.
Richard. The
Folie à
musical?
deux?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
not a
musical.
Oh my God. The discourse.
Terrible, but terrible that it makes it enjoyable.
Okay, so
Like
it's
there's
back
very
then.
weird choices that are being made. But then they like I wish they leaned more into the weird choices that they made instead of like
Yes.
pivoting in like even stranger ways.
Agreed.
Okay. Okay.
Then I watched Parvalos Children of the Apocalypse.
What is that?
A Mexican horror film about three brothers who, in a post-apocalyptic world, zombie world, are trying to survive in the Mexican wilderness. I actually really liked it. I know it's kind of it's been divisive on like Letterboxd and stuff like that. It really worked for me. It clicked for me. But the most interesting thing about it is that what turned people into the zombie. So there was like a COVID, just, I guess mini spoilers if you don't want to know anything about the movie.
Yeah.
But what I found very interesting in concept is that the world had kind of like a COVID-19 thing, and because it was evolving so fast and mutating so fast, they kept putting out vaccines that were untested, and the untested vaccines is what turned people into zombies.
God damn.
Very, very clever and interesting. Not a perfect film. I think it could have used a little. It could have used more. It could have used more. Like, I think the script could have been stronger. There's a lot of things that wasn't perfect, but I happen to enjoy it.
Okay.
Then we watched Bottoms.
I love that movie.
Oh my God. It was so funny.
It's
Holy
so
shit.
good. Yes.
So funny.
That was actually
Yeah.
looking at my rankings, like at my stars, that was the best of the movies that we watched by far.
Yeah. It's such a good, like, all female led, like, coming of age, random ass comedy. I loved it. It was so
Really
good.
funny.
Yeah.
Then we watched the all-time classic, the Dana Carvey 2002 vehicle, The Master of Disguise.
Shut up.
We-
No, you did not watch.
if any of our listeners were wondering, A, it does not hold up. It probably aged worse than it should have. B, it met all expectations.
Oh my god! I just have a vivid memory of that turtle
That
outfit.
yes.
Yes.
Are you not? Did you
Yeah.
know that the
Stop. No.
Please.
no, you're not turtle enough for the Turtle Club.
No.
Um,
Turtle.
You can
Turtle.
share this very, very weird
I have to know now.
fact.
there is a
listeners have to
rumor.
know.
Trigger warning for 9/11. There is
Oh.
a rumor that this was the first movie. There is a rumor that this scene, the Turtle Club scene, was filmed on 9/11 when they found out, but they still had to film. That's the rumor. What I've read, what I've actually read is that it was released in 2002. So
Mhm.
it was filming in 2001.
Mhm.
The rumor, the other thing is that this was the first movie to go back into production after the 9/11 halt. So this was the first scene that was ever filmed in Hollywood after like they all got back to work. Regardless,
Wait, but
Jamie
I
and
do have the actual information because it's on. Well, it's on the Wikipedia, but I'm taking that as fact. Where there's that's the rumor, but the director and Dana Carvey confirmed that there was a moment of silence, but he was in the turtle outfit during the moment of silence. But they say that it took place a few weeks after the attacks
okay.
because it was in pre-production during September 11th. So, but they started
Oh.
filming it soon after.
So that was the first thing. Anyway,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why,
Golly.
but anytime the Master of Disguise or we see the trailer, we think about it, or Jamie and I have a little bit between each other, being like, "Oh my god, did you know that?" Anyway,
Because it's so wild. That's
It
like such a
is.
wild piece of information that is for whatever reason
it's
tied
great. I don't know.
to this particular movie.
I also don't remember when I first heard it. Like when it was maybe Jamie heard it before. I don't know. But to me, it's the crazy. It's the because of how awful the movie is. It's like an
Mhm.
all-time worst movie.
Mhm.
B, that turtle scene from the trailer is ingrained in all of our millennial brains.
Mhm.
Plus the information that ties it into one of the most horrific, tragic, historical moments, and that specifically affected like a lot of millennials in terms of like the world that they entered in that no one else had experienced before. Like
Wow.
what a wild,
Just
like,
all encompassing, like,
yeah.
yeah. Oh.
We watched The Master of Disguise and it does not hold up.
Well, now I'm gonna be the one to be like, "Did you know?"
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's wild.
Oh,
my
God.
Then we watched Joyride.
Yes.
Also really
How was
fun.
that? Oh, great.
Really
Really
Okay.
fun. Mhm.
Yeah.
We liked that a lot.
I
Then
wanted
we
to
watched
see that.
Grandma's Boy.
Never heard of it.
Oh my
Great movie.
God.
Grandma's Boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
If you're familiar with The Devil's Lettuce, that's some of what this film is about.
Okay.
And then
I had to keep it on theme with our
For sure.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then we watched The Rule of Jenny Penn
Okay.
of Jennifer
That
Pfeiffer.
is a spectrum of a list
Yes.
as far as genre go. Wow.
Yeah.
What about you?
No, I literally have not had time to watch
Great.
anything except for I stopped my entire world to watch the Megan 2.0 trailer, Mithrigan.
Oh my
Oh, yeah.
God.
Nuts.
And I just can't wait. I
It's a
can't.
nuts
What
I
did she
can't
trailer.
say?
wait.
Hold on to your vagina.
Yeah, hold on to your vagina.
Yes.
It's this bitch versus that bitch. Like,
I'm into it.
I'm into it because it's leaning into the sequel. It seems like the sequel is leaning into what it should make it a sequel. You know, like it's insane.
Yes,
It's
right,
truly
right.
insane.
I needed to just like continue on and get crazier and crazier and crazier.
Yeah. I mean, they really jump in ahead, and I like that.
Right, exactly. Like just lean into all the camp of it. It's great.
Totally.
Gorgeous. Anything else before we start on this movie?
I don't think so.
Okay, gorgeous. Well, we need a plot summary. Ooh.
What's the plot?
Ooh, producer
No.
Brian.
So sorry.
Producer Brian's going to give us a 2-minute plot summary of The Rule of Jenny Penn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Great. Perfect. All right. I have 2 minutes on the clock. Give us your best summary of Miss Jennifer Pennifer.
Great.
Ready?
Yes.
No.
What? No,
Are you sure?
Yeah, I know.
Ready, steady, go.
Okay, Jeffrey Rush plays this guy named Stefan Stefan Urkel, and he is a judge in New Zealand who has a stroke, and he basically half of his body is more or less paralyzed. He doesn't really have any family or friends, and he has moved into this elderly care facility where he is a grumpy Gus. He starts being harassed essentially by the John Lithgow character, whose name is Dave. Dave, we later find Dave has this like puppet on his hand named Jenny Penn, and it's like this like deranged baby. It looks like the spider baby from Toy Story that Sid messes around with. Anyway, he Dave bullies everybody, but like not just like hey. He's like coming into their room and he's like using the doll to like hold power over them, and he's abusing them physically, and all of that. Anyway, apparently like Dave has control. He has a rule over all of the facility. Nobody believes Stefan because one, he's a piece of shit, and two, we later find out that, or he's cranky. We later find out that Dave used to work for decades at the facility. So, long story short, Dave ends up killing a couple of other residents because he kind of like, for whatever reason, we'll talk about what his justifications were. Um, 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 when Dave is doing something horrendous to another elderly person, Stefan gets out of his wheelchair and like hobbles over and hits him, and he has another stroke where he's like kind of even more paralyzed. This whole time, his roommate and his new friend, um, a rugby player Tony, ends up taking uh, ends up being inspired by him because he's been a coward the whole time and stands up to him. They end up killing Dave themselves. And everyone at the community is way happier for it. And there is a cat that sit next to dead the people that are going to die, and at the end, it sits next to Stefan as everyone is happy in the facility. The end.
And that's the plot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's kick it off with how we felt about it in our first segment, Trick or Treat.
Trick treat.
Where we let you know, was it a trick? We hated it, or we don't know how we feel about it, or it was a treat. We enjoyed it. Jamie, how about you go first?
This is an for me.
Okay. Producer Brian?
Big
Yeah, I'm gonna say a trick for me.
Okay.
But we'll get into why.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get into the dirty details with likes and gripes.
And now our likes and gripes.
All right, Jamie, how about you go first?
Surely. So I will give the caveat that like themes around the elderly and like dementia and being in nursing homes and things like that are very upsetting to me, and I don't typically like to watch movies that center around those themes. So like that there's a
Mm-hmm.
possibility that that is also influencing my perception of this movie. Um that being said, I just I feel like there was some very interesting performances. Like I think that Jeffrey Rush and John Lithgow were really good, but I just kind of didn't really like the the bullying of it all. Like it
Yeah.
was really hard to watch this character just like treat everyone like shit, and that like nobody like they try to kind of talk through some of it, a little bit of like why this person has such a hold on them, but like I also kind of was
Right.
like, why there's strength in numbers, like why can't they all like
Yeah.
rally together, and which ultimately like they two do against one. um but yeah, I just kind of was like, I have a hard time really believing that everybody would allow this one person to like treat them in
Yeah.
this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, there were so many like logistical things that I was like, I can't understand how he's really able to get away with all of this. Like nobody
Yes.
is watching anywhere in this facility, that like he just has
Exactly.
unfettered access to everyone, that like somehow like or that like if enough people are reporting weird incidents, that like nobody is batting an eye. Like it just all seemed too convenient, in
Mm-hmm.
a way that didn't feel realistic to me. And
Yeah.
so that just kind of like took away for me personally.
I totally agree with that.
Yes.
Um, because listen, you could 100% argue that, well, he used to work there, so he kept
That's
his
what I was gonna
key.
say. Mm-hmm.
And you can argue that they are understaffed and it's an old facility, so there are no cameras. You can also argue because he worked there, people like know who he is and have a little bit more empathy for him. Like you could argue all of those things. However, I, as an audience member, was working too hard to fill in those gaps that I
Yes.
just couldn't focus on the story at hand. And that's a problem. Like
Mm-hmm.
you had to give me more exposition early on, or at least in the middle, that would like explain it to me, because I felt the way that Jamie felt too.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%.
Yeah. Um, I also kind of wish that there was like a little bit more to actually Jenny Penn. Like I think that they like, have this idea for this like weird creepy doll who like doesn't really have any eyes, or like a puppet rather, and that like that in and of itself is creepy, which it is, but when you don't really like do anything with it, it kind of takes away the weight that it could otherwise have. And so when they have the scenes of like the doll having a different expression, or like suddenly being really
Mm-hmm.
big, it's like it's weird, but I don't think that it has quite the impact for me,
Mm-hmm.
that they were hoping that it would, because I'm like, why should I care? Like it's literally just like a weird puppet. So like why do I give a
Yeah.
fuck?
And
Exactly.
like it wasn't scary. Like it didn't justify all of their like nightmares and dreams with us seeing the big Jenny Pan and what, like, was not
Mm-hmm.
justified because it wasn't scary. Also,
Hmm.
there's like that weird scene where he accidentally switches the badges with the woman, and he has to
Mm-hmm.
like, then there's like this weird song in the background. He's like flailing like Freddy Krueger in that opening scene of Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like like it just like it wasn't, I don't know. It needed he needed to be truly terrifying, and to be terrifying we need to see how he was getting away with it and how he was messing with their heads. Like it just, like Jamie said, I had a hard time believing that like they wouldn't, the whole entire facility wouldn't have taken this guy down. Like we needed one thing, one, even if it was that his dad like that owned the place. Like I needed
Mm.
one thing to justify why nothing was being done.
Yeah. And also to the point about the doll too. if the doll's not even creepy and you don't have a reasoning behind why this person is attached to this particular doll, then what is it really there for? Because it's not there to be scary. So
Yeah.
I agree, Jamie. Having the doll there but not having a reason, because when there was a scene when Stefan was going through pictures and he sees the doll in the drawer, and at first I was like, well, why don't you just take the doll, because it means so much to this person if you want to like fuck with this guy. Didn't take the doll. But also, I thought we were going to get some explanation of like
Yeah.
why he had it, and it was absolutely nothing. So then, yeah, to your point, Jamie, it's like, well, why should I care about any of this? All I'm seeing is just elders getting bullied, and that's the whole movie. Like, what
And
is
like
it saying?
something that I also would like to say is that like one of the only times they talk about like the reasoning for a puppet is a laugh, is when they give him the pamphlet to see how like puppetry will help him with his like
Oh yeah.
paralysis. Like
Right.
it was a laugh line. Like
Yeah.
and that kind of undercut, if you're not going to do what Nikisha said and like expand a little bit when he finds things in the drawer, or at least leave it up to us to fill in the blanks, like then don't undercut it with the laughs.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like I the saving grace for this was the acting. But like
Yeah.
I just feel like they could have pushed the boundaries, I guess, a little bit more. Um but yeah, I had a hard time also understanding like why Dave wants to bully everybody
Right.
here. I know there was like that one like monologue scene, but I don't know, it just didn't really feel like enough of a justification for
Yeah,
me.
it needed to be more specific. He
Hmm.
like kind of hinted out the fact that like he felt like his life was empty, therefore he like, and then he says that he had met him before, and like
Yeah, which was
basically,
confusing.
yeah,
Right.
like I don't, in my personal opinion, you needed to clean that up. You needed to be like he had never met him before. That just feels like too serendipitous. It's
Yes.
got to be something to the effect of like my life was empty. When I said something like when I look in the bin, it was empty, and when I saw these, the hobnobbing people or whatever it was, their lives felt full. If he's torturing people at the end of their lives because it brings him joy in like in a deranged way, but also he's punishing people for having full lives and he's
Mm,
ruining the end of it. That is
Mm.
way more interesting, and that may have been the character's justification, but that is
It wasn't
not what
clear.
came across in
hmm.
execution. That's really interesting to me. A, and then B, the reason he's really picking on the judge is because like of all the people that have come through there in this like kind of crappy home in New Zealand, like this judge is the person who has done the most with their lives. And then you can juxtapose that with the fact that he feels like he hasn't done anything because he's got no family. He's here at the end all alone. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a really interesting story to tell that this movie kind of dips its toe into. The actors are doing through subtext in their work, but the script does not really support at all.
Hmm.
No, not at all.
Yeah. I do feel like they could have done a better job, I think, of like capturing like they're talking I think there's a lot of like vulnerability that's thematic in this, but I kind of wish that there was more vulnerability from Dave to like
Mm.
understand why he was
Sure.
doing this. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
already at this like really vulnerable stage in your life, and then like there's a lot of nudity in this, but it's a lot of like, like elderly nudity where people are being taken care of by
Mm-hmm.
others. And
Yeah.
like that's like a particularly vulnerable thing. And it's like why are we getting a lot of this to like get their lives? But also I think like again, it's like there is that one scene where like John Lithgow is in the shower and like the nurse leaves and comes back and is assisting him and he's kind of like curmudgeonly walking off, like he doesn't want to be helped. And I'm like, it feels like there's something there, but then they
Yeah.
just
Mm-hmm.
kind of never do anything
Like
else
let
with
it go.
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like there's this movie also felt really long. So, like, I don't necessarily want more movie. I just want them to, like, dig deeper into some of these themes and, like, get there maybe even more quickly,
Yes.
as opposed to kind of what maybe feels a little bit more surface level for me.
Sure.
Plus, then, oh, we didn't even talk about, like, there's definitely some, like, racism that's coming up.
Oh yeah.
Like, again, it's like, oh, that, like it just it comes up in the joke that he's telling when he's tormenting
Yeah.
them.
Uh-huh.
And then for Tony to, like, counter later with the haka was, like,
Yeah.
really interesting, but it's like I wanted more. And it felt more throwaway-y. I don't know. Not the haka, but, like, the joke, or the
Right.
not
Right.
joke, the
Yeah.
racism.
The racism. Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, I think, like, regardless of how I feel personally about, like, care facilities, like, it was just very hard to believe that, like, nobody would be aware of any of this stuff that was happening, and, like, nobody is addressing it, and just, like, staunchly not believing Stefan at all for whatever reason is annoying. Um, but I did think it was clever when they emptied all the inhalers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as somebody who often, most of the time, forgets to bring an inhaler with them, that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scary.
That was a good
That was a
moment.
good scene.
Yeah, it was a
Hmm.
really good scene.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this didn't quite do it for me,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I just to piggyback because you said basically all of the things that I uh put in my notes about this movie. I also just didn't understand why anytime Stefan would do something to Dave, Dave would then do something to other people and not actually like confront Stefan and do something. Like if you're gonna bully like somebody, like there was the whole thing when Dave comes into the room and he's messing with Tony, but it was after
Hmm.
Stefan had done something to Dave, right? And
Yeah.
I was just like, what? Well, what is that kind of thought process? And
That to
that,
me felt like he was reading him as, like, someone, this might be, like, very on the nose, but, like, he
mm,
was reading him as someone who, like, cares about, like, fairness and justice and things like that, and knew that, like, he
mm,
would be more bothered that he was, like, bothering the other residents, and would speak on it and do something about it, and, like,
yeah,
taunting him in that way, where, like, he doesn't need to necessarily just bully him directly. If he
mm-hmm,
like, because he does it with the older woman, where that older woman is being assaulted,
right,
and like, that's when he finally stands up and, like, hits him with the cane and then suffers that stroke. So, like, I do feel like there's something about, like, again, this might be so literal that, like, he's a judge, so he cares about, like, justice and
yeah.
things like that. But that was just my read on that, but I could be wrong.
I think that no, I think that's dead on.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. But I guess because Stefan comes off as such an asshole, that to me that doesn't like I understand what you're saying, but like it's hard to connect because maybe just because not seeing him as an outward compassionate person, like he's compassionate in the way that he does deal justice and fairness, like you said, but he also is kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
um
I found that really interesting, actually, the way that the movie starts with us like seeing this man in power who's the movie chooses for it to be like a rape case of a minor, and and it basically like shows that he is a good person who finds, and even the way that they discuss, like, you think I'm gonna believe your defense?
yeah.
Like, this is not a,
Hmm.
this is a repeat. Like, he really is looking into it. You think that he's presented as this like caring judge who stands up for the, you know, the people and whatnot, and then he starts to like criticize the mother of the minor in terms of not
Hmm.
keeping them safe, and you're like, he may not be wrong, but also like, is this the place to be doing that? And it makes you feel a little bit weird. But he's a judge who is favoring the side, they like putting the rapist behind bars for 16 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's this very interesting introduction to a character that like they stand for good and they stand for justice, and they are actually a huge pillar, a positive pillar of the community. But they're just like, you know, they're a grumpy old piece of shit type of person.
I know, and it was just like interesting when he first gets into the home, and you know there are people trying to interact with him, or even the person that has to be with him, Tony, all the time, and he's just kind of like writing him off immediately, like, get me the hell out of here, I want my own room, I don't want to deal with these people, I'm not even supposed to be here, you know, kind of like vibe, which again makes sense because of his status, because of who he is, like, yeah, I give that to him. But I totally understand that point, Jamie, about like the justice and the fairness of it all. It's just like, yeah, he's a little grumpy grump. But yeah, my number one thing was, where are all the fucking nurses? This is absolutely crazy that no one is seeing anything, especially that scene where Dave comes out of the elevator and the two people in the lobby like see him and like escort him back. But then like he walks right back out of the elevator and just walks around the whole place. I'm like, okay, guys, what are we doing? I also agree with you, Jamie. I thought it was a bit slow. So I just really couldn't engage fully in it. But a silver lining was all of these actors are so amazing, and it's nice to see people of that age getting work like this, because they did a fantastic job. And it's like, yes, I enjoy, and we've talked about this, like older people or elderly people in horror movies, like when we talk about X with like Pearl and all that stuff, you know, and
The Visit.
And The Visit, which that was one of my suggestions, so that's out and open now.
Oh, sorry.
But no, it's all good.
But I heard you don't like messes.
Oh my god, I can't. I really can't. So it was just nice to have horror like this, and I feel like there should be more of it. But it's like, let's tap into an actual theme. Let's tap into horror. But I will say that burning alive scene at the beginning, fantastic. That got my attention.
Yeah, that was also really wild. Yeah.
It was really good, and it got you into it. But in hindsight, like, was this more of like a warning? You know what I mean? Like what's his name Dave had nothing to do with it as far as we know, because the woman that he let out, who died, was his first. If we're to believe that. I don't know. Anyway, that's just something to think about.
Yeah. I don't know.
Foreshadowing that like shit's gonna get real.
Maybe so, and maybe so. But I was like, if we're gonna go there, like, let's continue to go there.
Yeah, totally.
You know, but other than that, yeah, what you said, Jamie, it just wasn't my cup of tea. Just because there wasn't anything solid to grab you and carry you through the movie, and you're just kind of, like you said, Brian, filling in all the blanks for yourself, and it's like, I don't feel like it should be that much work. And maybe I'm being lazy, fine, but it was just a little too much to try to like justify, figure out everything what's going on, why. Yeah,
I think there's a big difference between things being delivered to you in a tidy manner plot wise, or thematically or subtextually you can work for and all that. But like, if I'm starting to question logistics because you haven't given me some answers, like, then that's going to really distract me.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, I agree, the performances were great. I feel the doll could have been absolutely creepier. It's just like a little puppet doll, so whatever. There are scarier. But yeah, Brian.
Sure. I'll start with what I liked about this. I mean, I just think that in general, like you said, the excellent scenes. I think there's some great moments. I think it's well directed in some ways, like the opening scene, in the courtroom. Like, I think there's a lot of good stuff in this movie. I also find like elderly abuse and things like this very disturbing and upsetting. So like, it definitely worked in that way. I think that there were some scenes here that I really liked where he was when the second time that Dave tortures Tony, and he instead of like yelling and distracting him, he's kind of trying to figure out tactically in a tactical way, I should say, what his deep seated like trauma is, where he's like, oh, is this a daddy issue with the belt? Oh, is this, the
Like a
priest touched you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's just going through all the things to try and figure out like what's going to trigger him so that he stops and starts attacking him, which I think goes back to Jamie's theory about the justice thing and the fairness. I liked the catheter scene in terms of like good. It could have gotten worse, but like in making things
Hated
visceral.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ew.
I like how he said zebra.
I love zebra. Zebra.
I think it's the best use of like the haka in a film.
Oh yeah.
I thought that moment was pretty powerful because what I liked about that moment is that like his roommate calls him you're a tough guy or something like that. Because and then like even though he's like pretty paralyzed, he's still trying to feed himself with the spoon. And like there's the acting there is like he's focused on the spoon and then he looks over and decides to go up to Dave. And I thought that the inspiration he got from this guy who's paralyzed, still trying to feed himself, and like if he can do that, I could stand up for myself. Was very. I thought it was a nice moment. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting, good things about this movie for sure. Some of my gripes are that this movie needs to be better at Photoshop, especially if one of your plot points revolves around the fact that he's in these pictures. Yeah, you just got to get better at Photoshop.
Yeah.
I just think this movie needed to lean more into what would make it more interesting conflict wise than or lean into the horror, because you're half-assed leaning into both sides, so this movie ends up being a bland nothing. Like either make it super scary and I don't fucking care how he's getting around the facility, or explain to me how he's getting around the facility and I'm okay with like him just kind of being silly. You know what I mean? Like you gotta pick something and go with it. I also think that this movie is about too many things. If it's going to be about, end of life care and the fact that like he is ruining these people's lives at the end because he felt like they lived a good life and he didn't, then be about that. Then that's what it should be about. I think that I do think that the 15 minutes, I think that it's not that this movie felt too long, it's that there wasn't enough movie that they have to fit into the time allotted. Because you could have filled that time, you could have filled those times with interesting conversations between characters who can act about the exposition that we were missing. And I think the biggest, it's just over and over again, like he does something, doesn't get blamed for it, we move on. He cries wolf. There's a lot of that throughout the movie that gets like kind of tiring in the second half, just in general. And let's see what else I have here. Here's something. I, for whatever reason, interpreted the title wrong. Instead of like the king rule, like the kingdom rule of Jenny Penn, I didn't really watch a trailer for this. I didn't know. I thought we were going to get a rule because I love rules and we love hear rules at the podcast.
I will say the same. I agree with you, Brian. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. I was waiting for the Jenny Penn rule. And then halfway through the meeting, like, oh, like Jenny Penn's in charge.
Because I thought it was like, because everyone was saying hi to Jenny Penn. It was like, you had to do something with Jenny Penn or something's going to happen to you. But I agree 1,000%. Not like she rules. Jennifer Pennifer. Now I feel like that's an easy mistake, Brian.
Great. Some other gripes. I didn't like that he said that he saw him once. To me, that made him special. And that made him special. Therefore, it kind of undercut the fact that he was torturing everyone else, and we didn't even really see that. We just saw him like not help the guy on the floor and point the woman out. Like we did. I don't know. I guess before he started attacking individual people, I never got the feeling that he was abusing anyone other than Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that's probably not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, going back to some likes. I did think Jeffrey Rush did a great job during his speech where he's like, when did I become this? I thought that was interesting. I also read his character as closeted.
Interesting.
Just the way that
I can see that.
The way that he caressed and consoled Tony at the end felt very, for that character to be so tender, it felt more sexually charged than it did like platonically.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, but that's how it came across. Maybe that's just how Jeffrey Rush wanted to play it. I don't know. Yeah. I also really did like when sometimes when they would zoom into the doll, like do a close up, not zoom in, but have a doll close up. Sometimes it was frowning, like the face would change, and I thought that was very funny. Yeah, I also didn't believe the rugby players Tony's excuse of why he didn't want to ask for help, because he like the whole thing with his granddaughter that she would look up to him, like not I was like not
right.
I don't know that I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it overall.
Yeah, great. Anyone have any other last thoughts on this?
I don't think so. I wish it was better.
Yeah.
I was really rooting for it,
especially because you have such great actors. We were all rooting for you.
Yeah, I mean the acting was really good and made up for some of the lack of being anything, but still.
Yeah, but still. All right, well, let's move on to our next section. Brains.
Tasty.
Gorgeous. Well, my first question, we have to Billy or Stu, Dave.
Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative. Yeah, pizza scream, baby.
Billy or Stu?
What do you think, Jamie?
This is hard.
Sure.
I guess. So my gut is telling me Stu, because while he is a tormentor and a bully, I don't think that he like plotted that far in advance. Everything I feel like he did was just like based on in the moment, whatever he feels like, whatever he sees, whatever he wants to do. I don't think that I think that he is menacing, but I do not think that he is like being particularly thoughtful in how he's menacing. So I'm feeling more in the Stu category.
Nice. I'll take it. Yeah, he does feel kind of like a little all over the place.
Your explanation was excellent.
Okay, thank you.
For sure. And my next question, which kind of ties into what Brian was finishing up with his likes and gripes with not believing Tony, not asking for help because of his daughter thinking that he would, seem weak. My question to you, Jamie, is why do you think there's so much shame around asking for help in general, but especially when it comes to trying to get out of like physically abusive situations?
Yeah. I mean, I think that like that sense of weakness is part of just that story of asking for help, like across the board, like societally, culturally. There's this idea that like being vulnerable equals bad. Admitting that you need to depend on somebody else means something bad. Like you can't handle it on your own. That's bad. You shouldn't have to ask for help. So I think that's just like and then on top of it, like for men in particular, I think that message is even more powerful. Like, men should never be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Men don't need to rely on anybody else. They can take care of it on their own. So like, I think that there's the additional layer of that too. um I think that in like abusive relationships and intimate partner violence, um I think there's very much that fear, like you see it play out in this, the fear of not being believed, and people dismissing your experience, or like, challenging that with like, well, what did you do? Like that somebody wouldn't just like do something to you unprovoked. That's unheard of. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you must have done something wrong to upset him to, cause this reaction. Um, and so like always like not being able to just like accept people at their word, I think makes it a lot harder for people to open up about these experiences and ask for
Mm-hmm.
help. um so that's a really challenging one. I also think that like there's a lot of nuance in terms of in intimate partner violence, at least in particular, like that what they've experienced with that partner is not like 100% bad. Like there have been moments of good. And so like
Yeah.
there's enough things that like kind of keep you within that cycle of violence, including like, apologies and the honeymoon period and like, love bombing and like these different things that make it a lot more difficult to just say like, this is all not good for me, I need to leave.
Mm.
And so like opening up about that, I think there's a fear of like somebody telling you that like you're doing the wrong thing or making the wrong choice, or like telling you what to do, when that might not be like the space that you're in that moment when you are asking for help.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times like a very common anecdote that I would hear when I worked in like criminal justice, primarily within intimate partner violence, was like people would call the police for like a temporary intervention to get their partner to stop doing whatever they were doing, and not because they wanted their partner to go to jail or not because they
Uh-huh.
wanted their partner to like break up with them. It was really just like this was happening in this moment and I wanted it to stop, and that is why I contacted the police.
Wow.
So I think even in asking for help, it's like the thing that they want might not align with like the person they're being asked, and so like there might be some kind of like mixed messaging with like outcomes and goals that they're looking for, and so like
Mm-hmm.
trying to avoid any miscommunication around that. So I think, yeah, I think it's really complicated. But I do think that there's like a lot of pressure. I mean, I think that's why like mental health stigma, for example, continues to exist, is like people think that going to therapy is weak, or like that we're, manipulating people and like fucking with your heads and not
Mm.
helping. So I think that like it's really hard for people to open up about any struggles that they're experiencing.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback off what you were talking about before, just about vulnerability, can you just speak to what vulnerability does for your mental health? Like why it's so important to be vulnerable in general? When I know that word gets thrown around, see, thumbs up, be vulnerable. Um, because when that word gets thrown around, sometimes there is like negativity attached to that. So can you just speak on why it is so important?
Yeah, I mean, vulnerability, I think, like works within the context of ourselves, but also in connection to other people. So like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, getting deeper with yourself, allowing yourself to know yourself more, gaining more self-awareness into like who you are as a person. And then with regard to other people, I think the thing that like people are always freaked out about is, what if I am my like true authentic self with somebody else and then they reject me? And like
Mm-hmm.
that is the fear when it comes to vulnerability, is like there is inherently a risk that you are taking, whether or not somebody like accepts you for who you are or rejects you. And the idea of someone rejecting you at your core feels bad.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, for sure.
not a good
Absolutely.
feeling. And so we might avoid it or like dismiss it, or, not allow ourselves to get deeper with anybody else, look for surface level things.
Mm.
So, but like then you're not really getting that deeper connection with someone because you're not letting them in. And also it's not just about like one-sided opening up. You also want somebody else to demonstrate that they are like worthy of your vulnerability through their actions and through what they do. Like we shouldn't
Mm.
just go in trusting everybody 100%. Like that's also not safe. So like people have to prove themselves to
Yes.
us. People have to demonstrate that they are worthy of our vulnerability.
Mhm.
So that's also part of the challenge is like as you're getting to know someone, you are navigating like different steps along the way of like, okay, can I let them in more? Can I let them in more? And again, like that's, it takes time to get to know somebody. It can take a long
Yes.
time to get to know somebody in order to continuously like make that decision to let them in and let them in and connect on a deeper and deeper level.
Yeah, that's a great answer, by the way.
Thank you.
But also just love, yes,
Great answer.
But I also love what you meant about just not only is it about the people around the relationships that you have, but also just the relationship with yourself and like getting to know yourself more. Because I think a lot
Mhm.
of the times too, people do focus on the like, oh, what are other people going to think about all these things about me? But it's like, what do you think about all those things about yourself? And I think
Mhm.
that's something that is really nice to speak on and say and include. Like it's also just
Yeah.
about like yourself.
Yeah, because like I think sometimes like some of us might avoid spending time not being busy. Like when you
Mm-hmm.
keep yourself busy, you're constantly doing stuff. You're not
Mhm.
really spending time with yourself, with your own thoughts. And like quite frankly, I think that there are some people, I will admit that maybe I am one of them that will do things to not have to spend that time with myself.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
like yeah, I think that's a very real thing because people are afraid of, you know, coming face to face with their anxiety or trauma
Mm.
they've experienced or like, you know, parts about themselves that they don't like.
Yeah.
But again, all of that is part of like who we are and like we create our own narrative ultimately. So like
Mm.
we have the autonomy to decide like who we are and who we want to be and you know we define ourselves. So hopefully that's like a helpful thing to keep in mind to
Yes.
be willing to spend more time with ourselves.
Yeah. And we're not our
Good answer.
thoughts. Yes.
No, we're not our thoughts. Thank you for saying that because
Yes, yes,
boy,
yes.
lots of things have been happening. The intrusive thoughts are running rampant sometimes.
No, I say that as a reminder to myself too, Jamie. Like, I got you. I got you. Like,
Like we're saying this
wait,
out
okay, what is
loud
this?
for
We're saying this out
everyone, but
loud
also for ourselves. Oh my God.
for
There's
ourselves.
so many effects happening.
Yes.
Sorry, listeners only. You're missing out
Right.
on so many visuals.
Oh, gorgeous. No, great answer. Thank you for that, Jamie. Thank you
Of
for
course.
expounding upon that.
You are most
Gorgeous.
welcome.
Should we rotten tomato this?
Let's
To
do it.
Norton.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
How do you say Rotten
Curious.
Tomato with the New Zealand accent?
Hey, Rotten Tomato.
Oh, that's
Hey,
pretty good. Nikisha said like one syllable and then stopped.
no, because what he said just reminded me of oh God, Ben
Fuck. That was so funny.
what is his name? Ben Shapiro, the guy from Parks and Recs.
Adam Scott.
No, the one that plays what's his name? That's like the worst. That's always like screaming.
Oh,
John
Ben
Ralphio.
Schwartz.
John
Ralphio.
Ralphio.
Yeah. Anyways, you said that and that just reminded me of something, a skit of his. Started laughing. Yeah.
Well, what do you think this has on Rotten Tomatoes? Jamie, why don't you start?
74.
Nikisha?
67.
It has a 72%,
Oh.
Oh.
and the popcorn meter is only 56%, which is the audience
Yeah.
score. John Lithgow's frighteningly unhinged performance reigns over the rule of Jenny Penn, a nasty chiller that's by turns monotonous and haunting.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
What do you think this has on Letterboxd? As a reminder, it's 0.0 up to 5.0. Nikisha, why don't you start?
2.9.
Jamie?
3.3.
3.1.
Oh.
And of course, we need to read the most popular reviews.
Oh, God.
No, these are no good. One person's just playing Degrees with Kevin Bacon.
Oh.
This, I'll read this one. Say all you want, but the real villain in this film are the officers, because where the hell are they? How could this crazy old man just come and go everywhere? Do all of that for so long without getting caught even once? Are you all dead? Are you all dead ass? And every time they show up, it's always at the wrong time. Let me just burn this place down once and for all.
Jeez. But where are they? Where are the nurses?
And then another person has a long, actual review, which we will not be reading. Okay, so that was Rotten Tomatoes, and that one. Should we do the 4 S's?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. The Talking Horrors 4 S's.
The 4 S's are skulls, scares, shakes, and suggestions. We are going to give those numbers. Skulls is how well it handled mental health and human behavior. Scares is how scary was it. Shakes is kind of like what you one and done. Will it stick with you? And then we'll do our suggestions. So Jamie, why don't you start?
Sorely. I'm kind of torn on the skulls score.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving it a 6.5. I feel like I dropped it a lot of points because I again have a hard time that everybody at this facility is so incompetent and that nobody is saying anything.
Sure.
But I do think that there's the reality of how you feel when you're being bullied, and the anxiety and fear that is instilled, especially when people are already very vulnerable. So I feel like that those elements felt more grounded. For scares, I gave it a 3. Probably because it upsets me when bad things happen to older people.
Yes.
And that was disturbing to me. But for shakes, even though we just watched this movie, right now it's getting a 4 from me. It's just not. Again, even with recency bias, it just didn't really land for me. So
yes,
I feel like there's other things that might deal with similar-ish themes that I would recommend, and probably would fail to remember that I watched this movie in my recommendations.
Agreed.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, mine are similar. 5 for skulls, 1 for scares, and I'll give it a 2 for shakes. I don't think you made a great point, Jamie. If I'm thinking about this type of horror, I would forget that I watched this.
I think that's totally fair. All right, for me, I'm gonna do skulls out of 5. No, 4. I just what?
I said
oh.
Scares, I gave it a 3 because of the elderly abuse and not believing people. And then shakes, I'm gonna put this at at a 5. Not
Nice.
Oh yeah, did we? Yeah, I don't remember if I said that one of my least favorite tropes is people not being believed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I hate that.
I
also
really
fucking hate that.
This movie is full of those tropes. He used to work there and he's in the pictures. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that I'm just oh my god, couldn't you have chosen a more interesting thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My suggestion is another horror movie that has a different tone but takes place in an elderly care facility. That is Bubba Hotep.
I've never actually seen it.
I have not either.
It stars
Bubba,
Bruce Campbell.
No
Bubba Hotep.
way.
Bubba Hotep is about two
I need
elderly
to see that.
patients at a elderly care facility. One of them believes that the Bruce Campbell character believes that he is Elvis, and maybe he is. And the other one thinks that he is JFK, and he's like an old black man in a wheelchair, and he thinks that he's JFK. They're like reincarnated, or they're versions of them, whatever. I don't remember. It was a while. Long story short, a Egyptian mummy entity is attacking the old folks' home, and these two need to protect it. That's Bubba Hotep.
Because Bruce is going to protect everything in all this.
It's great.
Mhm.
It's actually a really good movie.
Bubba
Maybe
Hotep.
we should
Okay.
do that.
We could do Bubba Hotep.
Oh my god.
I think that's worth it.
I'm in. You had me at Bruce Campbell.
Okay.
I'm in. Let's lock in.
I'm weak in the knees.
Nikisha, you said yours was The Visit.
Yeah, and taking of Debbie Logan.
No, that was mine.
Oh, sorry. I didn't say it.
was mine.
I didn't say it. Erase.
Yeah, that was mine.
Yeah.
The Taking
like
of
that
Debbie
movie.
L.
Debbie L. Look out for that mouth.
Good. Oh my god. Good. Big Deborah.
That was better than
Okay.
me almost saying what that mouth do. I take.
Ah! Wait, Brian, you didn't tell us your quotes. Just speaking of quotes.
Oh.
God.
So obviously, who rules? That's a quote.
Uh-huh.
Who rolls? Jenny
Who
Penn has the
rolls?
rule. She's got the rule book. Oh no, she doesn't have a rule book because there are no rules in this movie.
So there's no,
Say the
literally
line
no.
I don't like. Just get it over with.
Sure. Okay. The best line in this movie is "lick her asshole." Go on.
Cringe every time.
Gross. I hated it. Ugh.
Well, on that note, that ends our episode of The Rule of Jennifer Pennifer, who didn't have any rules. You can follow us on Jennifer Pennifer. You can follow us on the socials, Instagram and TikTok at Talk Horror Pod. And producer Brian, where can they listen to us?
You can listen to us wherever you get podcasts. YouTube, you can watch us there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Rate and review us there. 5 stars, please.
And
thank you.
Ooh. And oh my god, guys, did you know that when The Master of Disguise was filming, they
It's just so wild. I don't know why it's so wild.
Oh my god, bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye.